What if there was a system that could give you anything you wanted, help you achieve your wildest goals, and do all of this in a simple and easy to follow format that anyone could use? Well, my friends, today I am opening up that very system to the public, completely free of charge. Introducing the Power On Productivity Project, or POPP, the world's most advanced lifestyle and productivity system. So what is the Power On Productivity Project? POPP is designed to maximize minute-by-minute productivity, capitalizing on small wins and creating positive habits. It incorporates tactics backed by real psychology to increase motivation in an easy, stress-free manner using an adaptive reward system and growth charts. This program helps you stay present and focus on your most impactful tasks for that day, decreasing stress and increasing productivity, all the while helping the user keep a reservoir of the three most valuable productivity resources: energy, attention, and time. When I began working on this project over 1 year ago, I knew that to be effective, it needed to be first and foremost designed to be simple, fun to use, and to be flexible enough to account for all of life's beautiful inconsistencies, while still being rigid enough to keep you moving forward in your goals. POPP comes built in with everything you need to lead a more impactful life and cut through your to-do list. The program relies on a series of productivity lessons and worksheets in tandem with a POPP-exclusive time tracking sheet. The innovative time tracking solution leads the industry as it incorporates hundreds of behind-the-scenes functions and hundreds of thousands of lines of code, which amounts to a simple-to-use interface. Although I have only been formally working on this project for a year, my background in psychology and interest in productivity go back much, much farther. Here are just some of the dozens of principles incorporated into this project. These 4 big ideas act as a backbone for the project and vision as a whole. They are the rule of 3, the relationship and the importance of habit formation related to willpower, the understanding that time logging improves productivity, and that we humans love a good friendly competition and often are more motivated in the face of one. Humans are excellent at creating patterns. 3 is often thought to be the minimum number of objects needed to create a pattern. The rule of 3 states that humans are more comfortable with items in sets of 3s and remember these sets better. POPP uses this idea and several others in multiple ways to make information more manageable, easy to remember, and diverse, which keeps the user engaged. The triangle of interest takes all of your activities and puts them into 3 central categories and ensures that you maintain a balance in life through simple visual cues. Some ideas for the big 3 are, and again these are just examples, health, business, and learning. They could be family, work, and fitness, school, work, relaxation. The list really goes on, and this is completely customizable to your life and is integrated easily into the time tracking logs. Based off of the ideas from the widely acclaimed New York Times bestseller book, The Power of Habit, this principle states that every habit, whether good or bad, boils down to 3, yes 3, simple elements: a cue, a reward, and a routine. POPP uses this simple formula to help you crush your bad habits and create new good ones. It does this through simple presets that just require a 1-button interface to add points and time to your overall totals. It's also based off of the idea that come from Seinfeld charts. Seinfeld charts, popularized of course by the famous comedian Jerry Seinfeld. They are a full year calendar, so every day of the year was laid out, and he wanted to write jokes. So every day that he wrote a set of jokes, he had his own qualifications for this, he would put a big red X in there. As the chains get bigger, he wouldn't want to break it, and he'd be more motivated to keep moving with that. The Power On Productivity Project uses a system very similar to this, automatically taking in days when you have done your habit, putting it on a calendar so you can see your growth, and encouraging you to keep with those habits the next day. Alright, so this one is fairly obvious, but still a very valuable principle. Time logging improves productivity. It helps keep you accountable to yourself and others if you choose to share your spreadsheets publicly, and helps to correct for the negative bias that most of us have when laying out our progress and completion of our greatest accomplishments. At the end of the day, many of us, I know for me specifically, I often feel like I haven't accomplished enough. I haven't done all that I wanted to, but the time logs from time tracking really help me look back and see what I was able to accomplish. And that gives me a positive psychology boost for the next day so that I may be more productive. After extended use in the program, the user also develops a better sense of time as they can draw from past data to better plan for future tasks. All of your data is stored locally in your Drive account, which POPP uses intelligent algorithms that I wrote in, create auto-generated daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly reports. These reports are simple and easy to understand. They lay everything out in visual cues and graphs, and they recommend where you should improve and spend more of your time in. This keeps you on track to meet goals that you set in the beginning of the year and to solidify positive habits. At the very center of this program is a point system, as positive reinforcement and competition have been proven to be an essential factor to improve behavior. The point system works by aiding the user to do more impactful activities by looking at the calendar and preset habits and the essential tasks to assign a higher point value to those activities, making you more likely to do them. Over are the days of stressing over an endless to-do list. That can be overwhelming. All you have to do now is pursue the most points that you possibly can in your day, and POPP will make sure that you slice through your most important activities easily and without stress. An example of this would be, let's say you had an English paper due very soon. POPP would help you break that down, looking into your calendar, seeing when it's due, breaking down the major task into small tasks that you have to do by preset intervals. They'll be like little goals, and it will assign higher point values to activities that are more closely related to this task. This is really important for cutting out procrastination tasks that might still seem productive. Like, for example, let's say you have this English paper, again, to do, but instead you take time to organize your desk or clean your room. These tasks may seem productive, but really they take away from your overall goal and are actually just hidden procrastination. So the point system, even though the points do not hold their own inherent value, although I suppose you could assign something of your own volition to them, the idea of self-competition pushes the user to beat their previous scores and contribute to their overall performance. One of the early ways that I tested this came up on a service trip with young children. I was in charge of a group of 7 or 8 of them, and when it came around to lunchtime, of course, they all went for the brownies and cookies as most kids would. But one girl grabbed a single stick of celery, and I looked at her and I said, "Good job, vegetables are awesome, you know what, you get 10 points for that." And she goes, "Really?" And then she runs back and she gets more, and I gave her 10 points for every vegetable that she had on her plate. Soon, all of the kids in the group were running to the table, discarding their cookies and brownies and coming back with full plates of vegetables and ate all of them. For the rest of the day, they ate healthily and were very responsive. So even though these were young children that I was working with, this idea of gaining points, of winning something, is very effective on adults as well. And again, going back to the accountability thing, if you want to, you may publicly publish your results and compete with others with point values if you should choose to do so. The essential tasks are the most important activities that you do in any given day. Basically, if you do nothing else, if you can only do 3 activities, so that's 1 for every triangle of interest task, plus a frog task, you have to look at your most important task and ask yourself what they would be. Honing in on your most important tasks helps you eliminate the procrastination from minimally productive tasks like I talked about before. The next big idea that I've mentioned a little bit is the frog task, which comes from the term swallow the frog, popularized in Brian Tracy's book, Eat That Frog. The principle goes like this. I know it sounds a little bit odd, but bear with me. If someone told you that you had to eat a frog at some point in your day, well, first of all, you would probably have an unpleasant reaction to that, as for most of us, I think that that's a pretty disgusting thing. But if you thought it out, you'd want to do that right at the beginning of your day, because then you don't have the dread for the whole rest of the day that you have to eat a frog. And once you've done that, once you've gotten it over with, you'd probably be pretty happy because, once the taste got out of your mouth, you'd probably be pretty happy because you know that it's very likely that there will not be a worse or harder thing that you have to do in your day to follow. So in productivity terms, this can be used by scheduling your hardest, most anxiety-producing task right at the beginning of the day, the first thing that you do after you wake up, if possible. This not only forces you to get that specific task done, but it also gives you a positive psychological boost that is more likely to propel you to your most productive day possible. POPP integrates these ideas through, again, included presets and an easy-to-use interface. The current interface is through Google's spreadsheets. They're great because they can be easily replicated, organized, and are entirely free to use. If you do not have a Google account, I will include a quick tutorial on how to create one on the project page. The project page can be accessed through this link right here. It will also be linked down in the description. And it is basically an updates page for where you can download all of the spreadsheets, all of the lessons, and it will give you updates on how the online textbook is going and how the application for iOS and Android is coming. So moving on into the real meat and potatoes of the Power On Productivity project, we have the time input sheets, the spreadsheets that I was talking about before. And there are 4 types of spreadsheets, and they all work well with each other. It's just a simple copy and paste for data. And we have the daily timesheet, the weekly summary, monthly summary, and yearly summary. I have them all open here. These are all examples, but they should give you a good idea of how easy it is to work with the system and what to do. So at first look, this may seem a little bit cryptic to you, but I assure you that it is not a hard thing to learn how to do, and it's very easy. So we've got your day broken up into your different hours here. So we've got before 6 a.m., 6 a.m., 7, 8 a.m., all the way down for me until post 8 p.m. And you can, of course, change these if you want to orient your day in a different way, but hopefully you are getting some sleep, so a 24-hour sheet here would not be beneficial to you. But anyway, you can rework this to whatever you want, and it's going to take your values in each specific hour and give you a summary at the end of the day on the summary page that will show you where your time was spent and if that matches up with your energy, which is tracked down at the bottom down here. So just at a first glance, you'll see that I have spaces for the frog task, health, business, and learning task. The health, business, and learning are my 3 triangle of interest tasks here. We have the triangle of interest, which is pretty well balanced at this moment. You can see that there has been a little bit more of my day spent on learning, so I should work more towards business and health. So I'll do an example with that. This is our productive time versus procrastination, and procrastination is tallied up right here. That's just an estimation of about how long you think you've procrastinated for the hour. And mind you, that's not to say that resting time is procrastination. That is time that has been ill spent. So here we have a total of all of the minutes in the day that were used towards, or all of the points in the day that were gained for productive activities, and here are your total minutes. And to add them, it's quite simple. I have 26 categories in total, and up at the top there's a little note there that will, in your spreadsheet, show you what your code is for each one of those, and you make those. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to show you every single one of my categories, but just instead jump to how it works. So right here, let's say that I exercise, right? And I would usually be a little bit more specific than that, but for this example, we'll just go with that generalization. Here is your multiplier. This is decided by you and the project ahead of time to focus on what your most important tasks are. And this is a decently productive task, so I'm going to say the multiplier is 1.4. So that will inflate this value and translate it into points by 140%. So let's say that I worked out for a solid 47 minutes. Maybe I went for a run or whatever. And my code for working out is work, W-O-R-K. And you'll notice here that when I did that, this value went up a little bit. Down here, if you were paying attention before, this was 660, now it's 707, it's added that time, and the point values have been added up as well. And just to show you a little bit more of a dramatic increase there, I can go back and up this to, we'll just say 800 minutes, which is ridiculous, but now at least you can see the real-time action of this project. So we'll reset that back, or I think I said 47. Doesn't really matter. So we can go here and just take a mental note of what the points are. So we've got about 1250, we'll say. So if we put X's in all of these, so we'll say the frog task is completed, the health task, the business task, and learning. Health, business, and learning being my triangle of interest tasks. This value will change from false to congrats, you completed all of your daily habits. That's just a nice little thing there. And all of those point values will be added from 1250 to 1700, about 1700. So you can see that that was upped there. There's also a daily virtue here, which you can input on your own, and every time you provide an example of that virtue, you add 5 points, so that's just a nice little point value. This is talked about in the textbook, so you'll get that later on, but this is just how to manage your energy and figure out what your biological prime time is. Over here we have the morning habits, and you'll notice that simply by putting an X in each of these boxes, you'll see that the points values go up here, and if you have one with a preset that's exactly for 20 minutes, like clean for 20, you'll notice that this value, when I hit enter, will go up by 20 minutes, and the point value will adjust too. So I'm just going to throw in a few more, making it a little bit more realistic, and then I'll show you the summary page. So on the summary page, you just have a very simple interface that shows you how many minutes were spent in each category. If your habits were complete, it will display a 1 if you completed that habit, and a 0 if you did not. So to convert these into your weekly sheet, it's very simple. You just start at this block, drag all the way over, and you're just going to copy that. You're going to go over to your weekly test block, find the day of the week, and for our purposes, we'll say that that is day 1. And you're going to paste values only, and that's just going to add it right there, and that's going to calculate it into your weekly totals. Everything, so you can see that out of 7 days, 6 frog tasks were completed, 6 interest 1, and this would all be customized, but because this is an example, it just says interest 1 right now. You'll see how to do that in tutorial videos that are up on the updates page, but you can see that there were 6 of interest 1 tasks completed out of 7, so that's pretty good. The reason why we have the addition of a day 8, 9, and 10 is because this goes by the weeks of the month, and some months have, or actually all months except for February, have more than 4 weeks by a little bit, so this is for the last week. So here we have some very intuitive graphs that give you some nice visual feedback on where you should be looking to spend your time. So we can see here that this is each of your categories. So again, this is just for the example, so it all says sample, but you can see that, so for sample 5, there were 449 minutes placed in. This is just a really good visual feedback for where you need to be spending more time. This shows you the number of frog tasks completed, your minutes total, total habits completed, and for each individual sample, which is your categories. So one interesting thing that I'd like to bring up is the idea of progressive trend graphs. This is something that I invented here and in the productivity project, and what it does is it adds the previous value, like for minutes or points in this example, to your current day. So you can actually go along here, and wherever you are on this graph, you can see that it shows you this is your total amount of, in this case, minutes collected by that day. And what this does is the worst that you can do is flatline. It will never dip down. So that keeps you going with the good positive psychology and makes you more motivated in the future. Okay, so again, with ease of use, we have the same idea. You start up here, these are your weekly totals as I showed before, and we're going to just copy this. go over to monthly recap, which looks much the same. We'll see that week 1 is empty, and we will paste the values only. There we go. This has been totaled up, calculated into hours instead of minutes, so it's more manageable. And we have over here, again, same idea. This shows the diversity of time that you spent in each different category, the amount of frog tasks and triangle of interest tasks completed, more progressive graphs over here, progressive trend graphs, and the same idea over here. But where it really gets interesting is, and we'll do the same thing right here, nice and easy to use. We'll copy that at the end of every month, and you're going to have specialized month and week folders, and that will all be explained in great detail in the first Getting Started video that will be up on the updates page. Okay, so we've copied this data. We're going to go over to the yearly overview example, and I'm just going to start over here in your year planning, and again this is an example, but you would input all of your data right onto this page right here. So if you were taking specific courses, one great thing about the productivity project is that you can actually include, and I'll just jump back to the daily timesheet for just 1 second, you can actually include courses in here. So for example, I could say homework week 2 for a computer science class that I'm taking. And we'll say I spent 30 minutes on it. And the code for that is CS50. And what this is going to do, it's a computer science course as I mentioned, it's going to add time to that course and then also add it to computer science. So what's actually going to be, it's only going to be tallied once, as it should be, but it puts in a separate box the time for that course so that you can keep that all separate. So in the course overview, you put a quick description, start date, end date, category, and it will automatically show you all the time that you've spent in that, when and how you can better use that time. Same idea with goals. And then we have over here on the final summary, we've got your goals. It will show you how much time is needed to complete the goal, how many minutes you've put in it, the percent completed, and the category that it's under. And same idea over here, we've got your overall, so this is your balancing between the triangle of interest. It shows your data here, total hours, total points, and then this is interest specific. We've got some notes here and data. This is your categories in every interest. We've got your progressive graphs again that show you the minutes spent in that interest task. Same idea down here for 1, 2, and 3. We have quarterly, so time spent in each interest there. This is your habits. This shows out of your whole year how many you completed and the percentage of days that you completed that task. We have category data here, which is going to show you for each individual category a more in-depth look. So you have quarterly and time. These are your progressive graphs again, and then your course data. And then the input, as we've seen before, is much the same, very easy to use. The current month at the time of shooting this video is May, so we're going to add it right here, paste the values, and it's going to add that all together to your final summary. So this is a really easy and great way to look at all of this data, put it into nice, easy to understand visual graphs that can help you better improve your productivity. And the textbook that's coming out will have many tips and on how to understand these graphs and translate it into a better way for you to act on these and create a more productive lifestyle. So thank you very much for watching this video. I'm going to hand you back over to the presentation for the final moments, but this is the absolute center of the Power on Productivity project, and yeah, we'll just end it there. POPP is currently in its early stages, and there are lots in store for the future. I am currently writing an online textbook and iOS and Android application, as I hinted on previously. As of right now, it is completely free and open to use, but it will not remain this way forever. If you join now, and why shouldn't you, it's entirely free, you will have the opportunity to make your voice heard and contribute your own ideas to this project. And, most importantly, you will also be grandfathered into the program for free later down the road, which is a $100 value that you will get entirely free just for being a beta tester. Thank you very much for listening to this today, and I wish you best of luck on your journeys to achieving your goals and creating a brighter future for yourself.